All right. So our next review is going to be for the film Highest to Lowest. Highest to Lowest is the latest Spike Lee film, the latest Denzel Washington and Spike Lee collab there. This had a short run in theaters there. I think only about like what a week or two before it was put on Apple TV. This is an Apple TV movie, so it ran in theaters for a week, then got put onto Apple TV September 5th. That's where Neal saw it. I was able to see it in a theater there. But it was surprising that this movie didn't get the push it seemed like it deserved. I mean, Spike Lee is Denzel Washington. Um, Denzel Washington, huge star still in his career. A lot of people just go see movies because Denzel Washington. That's the reason why I think the Equalizer movie made as much money as it did, because it had Denzel Washington in it. But yeah, and we don't know how many more Spike Lee, Denzel Washington collabs we're gonna get. I mean, these guys they're not getting any younger. Denzel Washington's in his 70s. It's like, yeah, I mean, how many more we got left in this duo? But I was able to support this movie, see it in the theater there. And if you were one of those people, great on you there. But nothing wrong to just see it on streaming as well there on Apple TV if you do have that. But Highest to Lowest is a reimagining of the Akira Kurosawa film there called High and Low. Which we did a retro review for. Me and Neal, we did a retro review for the film there. Loved it, praised it a lot. People can go check it out on youtube.com. The Afternoon Tune, just type that in and you'll be able to see our review of the film there. But really, really loved it a lot, praised it a lot. It was my first time seeing High and Low. I had never seen it before. It was my first Kurosawa film. So yeah, it was a pleasure to actually watch this and check it out there. And if you want to see our full thoughts on that, check that out on YouTube there. But yes, and I can already tell you right off the bat, this is a much better adaptation of Asian cinema than what Spike Lee did when he did Old Boy. I tell you that right now, when he did the remake of that film, I can already tell you it's so, just to give you a little spoiler already. Yes, it is much better than that. People worried about that because people had seen this Spike Lee dip his toe into other Asian cinema with the Korean film Old Boy. That was that wasn't pretty good there.
I mean, a flat tire is better than the Spike Lee remake of Old Boy, so that just shows you how much that missed the mark.
Yeah, probably the most forgettable Spike Lee movie there ever has been was this one. But what is Highest to Lowest about, in case you have not seen the original movie there or don't know anything about it? Well, here, it, like I said, plays with a little. It's a reimagining, not a straight kind of remake there. It's added with Spike Lee's style and his flavor onto it. So you have Denzel Washington in this movie, who plays a music mogul there, David King. He's the kingmaker. He's got the best ears in the music business there. He has this company in which he owns. He's part of the owner of it, where he's able to discover all this musical talent. But now in these years, we hear about this movie that he's not as popular as he used to be. He's not as popular there as he was before. He's kind of slowed down there. There's a possible company there's a company that's trying to take over his company, trying to buy them out, but he's trying to fight that off there and maintain that. But it still has the core concept of it, where there's a kidnapping. So you have this person who kidnaps two people. One of the people there. Well, actually, no, he doesn't kidnap two people there. The kidnapper thinks that he gets one person, which is David King's son. He thinks that that's the person he's grabbing, but he ends up grabbing Jeffrey Wright's son in this, who's Jeffrey Wright in this is kind of his right-hand man, chauffeur, everything kind of guy there for David King. And he ends up grabbing that son instead. So at first there's confusion because he's calling. He says, hey, listen, I got your son. I want $17 million in Swiss francs. If you don't give that to me, something's bad's going to happen to your kid there. At first, there's obviously, mad rush there. Denzel Washington's concerned, but then it's later revealed that, oh, I actually got the wrong person. And then, but too bad, you still paying the money. I still want the money. And if you don't, something's going to bad happen to them. So it's about, is Denzel Washington's character, David King, is he going to pay the ransom? Are they going to catch this guy there? Who's committing this kidnapping? You kind of got this, and then all set in this busy, loud city of New York. And you got a lot of as that the backdrop there. Neal, what are your thoughts on Highest to Lowest there?
Well, my favorite thing about this movie is just the fact that it takes the original concept of high and low and the novel it was based off of, which is called King's Ransom, and totally does its own original thing with the concept. This is much more of a movie about atmosphere and vibes more than the actual police procedural like the original High and Low was. But it is those differences that Spike Lee brings to it, just of being about more of a character study for Denzel Washington and Jeffrey Wright's characters, and the tension that this kidnapping brings to their relationship and their relationship to the city of New York that makes this all the more interesting. This is this is definitely a very different movie than the original, but I applaud it for just going out of its way to be its own thing, and I think it is largely successful at what it tries to do.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, there's obviously gonna be the immediate comparison to High and Low because it is a reimagining of that and, like, okay, how's it compare? I mean, like we said in the review of High and Low, I mean, it's a masterpiece, in the terms of this procedural type drama there. The stuff it does there, building this tension, the fact that it feels like almost like a bottle film at first of, like, only really taking place in the apartment, the condo there, the first bit of it. It doesn't have that same kinda tension, I think, when it comes to that tight feeling there. Um, with them just being trapped in the kind of the condo there as well. Also, it doesn't have that added aspect of, because in the original film, you had it where the kidnappers were like, well, if I see you with the police, then that's definitely means the kid's gonna die there. Which this one they don't really bring in really as much there. But it, like you said, it's more about the kind of the flavor and kind of the Spike Lee added aspect of things there of what he like the infusion of his personality, which, as I mentioned before, with something like Old Boy, where he did that, it's like this doesn't feel like a Spike Lee movie at all. Like this doesn't have any of his flavor, doesn't have any of his signature things. Here has all his signature motifs. If you do like those, the dolly kind of shots there with the character kind of coming at the camera, you have the monologue things where the character is explaining the breakdown of a plan. You have that kind of going on. So all that kind of really works. The cast here, so like I said, you had Jeffrey Wright on top of Denzel Washington, who plays kind of the right hand man, the Denzel Washington's character there. You also have ASAP Rocky, who ASAP Rocky, people might he's done some other acting things before. People might know him. He was in Dope, where he was acting in that before.
Oh
Um,
boy, I would have not remembered that, and I saw Dope. That's cool.
Yeah, he was in that, which I liked him in that. I thought he was decent in that. I think he impressed me a lot more here than he did in Dope, and I liked him in Dope there. So that I thought he was really good in this. And there's a scene with him and Denzel when they meet each other that's really good. I love that, like when they're in
Mhm.
the record booth. That I think is one of the better scenes of the movie there, and that's really super sharp and really super good there. I like that a lot. You also have like some of the police in this. One of whom is played by Dean Withers there. People might see him. He's always the guy fucking himself up for car insurance. And people might recognize him for those things there. But yeah, I mean, it really is this really movie there that with Denzel leading it, carrying it kind of thing there. And Denzel is always going to be really Denzel, and how great of an actor he is. At this point of later stage of his career, it's going to be like, well, Denzel's going to be Denzel typically. But I think here, yes, he is kind of still Denzel, but I think he still adds something more to it and still delivers a great performance. What did you think about the cast and yeah, all that?
Yeah, I think the cast is really solid in this. You are right that Denzel, there are certain parts where Denzel is just kind of playing himself, but at the same time, I thought his dramatic scenes were really well done, especially with Jeffrey Wright, because in the movie, there's a moral conundrum that he has to reconcile with, and he has a lot of scenes with characters dealing with that I think he did a really good job in. And by the time, him and the kidnapper ultimately confront each other, that's a really good scene too. Yeah, I think all the acting was really solid, and I'm with you in that. You know, the Spike Lee vibes in this are really what add a lot of like interesting context to this movie because, just for example, they get to a point where they have to deliver the ransom, and there's a chase during a Puerto Rican parade and on a subway, and there's just a lot of like visual noise and chaos that's going on that really adds tension to the scene and the situations that are done only in a way Spike Lee knows how to do because that's his that's his jam. But one funny thing I do find about the Spike Lee isms is that Spike Lee is just such a homer for New York stuff. I mean, he never misses an opportunity to, to have the Subway fans chant that the Celtics suck or anything like that. It's just kind of funny how he always finds a way to do that.
Yeah, and that actor who shows up as a frequent collaborator of Spike Lee that shows up in a lot of his movies, and that was a great bit there. That train sequence also was a really great sequence, in the movie there. It was like a bunch of New York Yankee fans going on top of, like, the Puerto Rican Day Parade. It's like the Boston Red Sox game, which is a huge crosstown rivalry for that, so, a lot of people gonna show up to that, and then so that was also caused even extra chaos on top of that, which was really a added thing there. So I thought that was pretty awesome. But yeah, um, all that kind of just New York being a second, being another character in the movie. As most kind of when you have a movie set in New York, New York is always another character in the film there, which I really liked a lot. But this was, I this was one of my most anticipated movies of the year. Couldn't wait to see it. And like I said, I'm glad it paid off. A lot of movies that I've been really looking forward to this year have been really good, and I think this is no exception there. It might go on my best of list of the year. Got to see how the rest of the year kind of shakes out there. But I was really, really impressed by this movie. Like I said, it's the infusion there. Like I said, I've seen the original High and Low. I'm not really comparing it to the original High and Low because yes, it has some of the same kind of concept, plot wise. But other than that, it's really its own movie. It's its own thing, and it's a Spike Lee movie at the end of the day. Not like, oh, let me try to do it what Akira Kurosawa did with High and Low, which I think is very important there.
Right.
What would be your final thoughts and rating for highest to lowest?
My final thoughts are that this is just taking the original out of the equation altogether. As a movie, this is a really solid crime drama with, a bit of artistic flair from Spike Lee and everyone involved. I think Denzel and Jeffrey Wright both do great work bringing these characters to life. And I think the drama that they find themselves in is really compelling, and it has enough interesting artistic flourishes to make it stand out from a typical movie of this kind. And it does the original movie high it does the original High and Low justice, and is a very good movie in its own right. So I give this a low peak cinema.
Low peak cinema. Okay,
Yeah.
very nice. I give it. Yeah, I think I'm about right there. I give it a low peak, peak kind of territory as well there for this movie there. You think it'll be on your best of, you think?
Maybe if not, it'll be like a number, like a 10, like a number 11 or 12 or something like that. It's still
Mm,
like it's still a really good movie. Like even if it doesn't make the best list, it's still really good, and I would still recommend it to anyone.
okay. Very awesome. So two low peaks there for highest to lowest. People can watch it now on Apple TV if you got Apple TV there. Highly recommend checking it out there. So very awesome.